Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Saturday. I'm Leslie Watkins. So I hope you're well. I want to thank everybody so much for your birthday wishes. I got so many comments and so many messages, and I have some cards that I'm going to share with you today. And I had a really nice day, so thank you all very much for that. It was a lot of fun. And you saw that the last time, I think it was on Wednesday, we started the Antique Valentine card, and I worked on that cute little bird. So I'm going to continue with that today. Yesterday, I spent quite a bit of time trying to sort things out with it. I came up with some ideas, so I'm going to share with you a few different techniques today that might be useful for your Valentine cards, since that is right around the corner. So let's get started. So I have some materials here, and I want to be careful because these things are going to go all over the place if I'm not careful. So first let me just check my settings and see if this is working okay. And yes, that looks good. And then I have some various tools here as well. So let me just go through these things first. Good morning, Kelly, Sandra, Ginger, and Linda. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Good to see you all. What I wanted to do, let's get a picture of the actual Valentine here first. So this was my inspiration, and this was a antique cut paper Valentine that's in the collection of the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. And this is obviously just a printout from my printer off of a JPEG, and it's a little bit hard to see. I'll zoom you in. Maybe you could pick up a little bit of it. But all of these pieces, all of these tiny little holes here that are made to look like lace, and the flowers, it's a doily. It's either a hand cut, and it may very well be a hand cut, or some kind of a doily that was used to create this background. It's got some different colors of blue in the corners. And then this bird design, it looks like it has some dimension to it. So I think that this had a thickness and maybe had some sort of a coating over the top to create that kind of effect. And then this area, in the main area, I'm not quite sure what happened. It looks like they used white paint or something to paint over something. There's kind of a figure here, but it looks like it's almost been masked out. So I'm not sure if this was finished, if it was a work in progress, or what the intention was here. But we're going to just use it as our basic inspiration. And to that end, what I did was I took a piece of Blushing Bride, and I started playing with a number of die cuts to see if I could make it resemble lace. So the first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to recreate this interesting border around the edges. And so to do that, I used the Basic Borders dies, and I selected this kind of a triangular design. And I used that on all four sides of my Blushing Bride piece of paper. And that came out pretty good. It's a little bit tricky trying to get the corners to align, but I got better with that. This is my practice piece. I have a better piece that I'm going to be using to assemble the card today. The other thing that I did here, oh, wait a second, let me just check. This is my practice piece. This is the one I'm going to be using today. Okay, so the way I can tell is I used, so this I just want to point this out because this is a very subtle thing. This border die has some little tiny dots on one side, and on the other side it has the dashes or the stitches. And when I created this, when I was looking to see what I could do, I actually mixed up the sides. So one side of my piece here has the little dots and all the rest have the dashes. So just be careful which way you have the die placed on your piece so that you can avoid doing that unless that's the effect that you want. The other thing that I did, and you can't see it very well here, but I used a stencil to see if I could use the white pigment reinker to create a stenciled effect. And the white just didn't show up enough. I wasn't happy with that, so that's why I decided to put my efforts to the cutout instead of the stenciling. And this bundle, the Blessings of Home bundle, I had mentioned to you in an earlier video how much I love these dies. Well, I love them even more now because they were spectacular for this project. So all of these wonderful floral shapes were all made with this die set, the Flowers of Home, and you get 11 of them in there. And I will be listing the supplies that I used on my card today, so that if you want to check those out, you'll be able to do so. So anyway, so I used quite a few of these dies. And the other die that I used was from Meadow, and I used this label die. Okay, this one, and it was very pretty, and I'll show you what that looks like. So there is the shape that I got. And this one also has the wonderful stitching detail around the edges, as well as this wonderful little cutout scallop border on the two sides. The sentiment that I used here came from the Wildflower Path set. And that's this one with the Emerson quote. And I like this sentiment, "My heart is smiling because of you." I thought that'd be great for a Valentine. I really like that. And that's all I used from that set. So those are the sets that I used to create the card today. Wildflower Path, Meadow, Basic Borders, and the dies, which are called Flowers of Home. And for materials, I dug out this ribbon, and I think this might be a retired item. This is the metallic ribbon, and it's in Blushing Bride, and I don't remember what this was. I think this was part of a suite. It's a really pretty ribbon. It's a Blushing Bride base, sort of a satiny base, and then it has these wonderful kind of gold flecks in it. It's a beautiful ribbon. And I got that out because it coordinates with the Blushing Bride cardstock, and it has that gold that I use to emboss my sentiment. So I use the gold embossing powder for the sentiment on my label. Okay, oh, I better put this away before I lose that. All right, so let's get started. I think this might be a little bit longer of a video today because in addition to making the cards, I'm also going to show you some of the birthday cards that I got, because I thought you might like to see that. And so if you don't have your coffee or your tea, you might want to grab a cup of coffee or tea. So last time, what I did, you saw me paint this little bird, and I used the reinkers to paint it with. And then after I was done, I fussy cut it out. I think we can get even closer. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, so there's my little bird. So I painted it, then I cut it out with my scissors. I then used a little bit of sponging around the edges so I wouldn't have that white cut edge look. And then I used my shimmery crystal effects and I put a little thin coat of that over the surface. All right, and I was careful to get it to all the way to the edge. Oh, I did one other step before I did that. I also, before I did the shimmery crystal effects, I turned it over and I did a little bit of paper sculpting on the back. So with my paper sculpting tools, which is a great big ball burnisher, basically the size of a pea, I rubbed in little circles on the bird's body, wings, and tail, and that gave it a little, just a little bit of a 3D effect, which was really nice. I liked that very much, and I did that while the bird was still a little bit damp, so it worked very well. And by the way, this was the Fluid 100 watercolor paper that I used to make this because I wanted it to be thick. I wanted it to almost look like a little enameled shape. So then I let it dry overnight, and I ended up with this wonderful little bird. And I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and make one of these in a minute using the Blackberry Beauty stamp set. If you happen to have that, that was a set we had last fall, and it's no longer available. But if you have that in your stash, there's a cute little bird in there that you could recreate this with very easily. Okay, and then I have a very vanilla base, and this is just the standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card base of the thick cardstock. I have a piece of Pool Party cardstock as my layer, and this measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. Then I have my piece of Blushing Bride, which I've already done my die cutting on, and that looks like this. And on this one, I was able to line up these corners a little bit better. They don't meet perfectly, but they work well enough for this project. And what I did was I was just careful to put like these larger flower cutouts top and bottom. I then put these little ones in the corners and a couple of the longer garlands on the sides, and then I just filled in where the those areas would show after I finished assembling the card. Much of this area is covered up, so I wasn't too concerned about that. And then to recreate the idea of that was used in this card, I cut the Pool Party to act as my base to pick up on that kind of idea there. So let's start assembling. So I'm going to go around the edges and add a little bit in the middle. And this is the multi-purpose liquid glue. Just kind of dot that around. Yeah, I've been to several different museums to see the collections that they have of paper art, and you'd be surprised at what the Victorians and even the ancient Persians were up to with paper. And it's a great place to get ideas for your designs. Both boxes, cards, books, all sorts of things. Of course, the illuminated manuscripts. Okay, so there is my lacy part, and I just want to make sure I get all these little bits that could pull up. A little bit of glue on there. You could also use your fine tip glue for this if you prefer. Okay. Let's get that into place. There we go. So that's my layer, and I'm going to go ahead and put this down on my card base. Get that taken care of, because this should go together pretty quickly. Make sure I've got this going the right way. And this design would be beautiful for the lid of a Valentine candy box as well. So if you want to make a little treat box and put some chocolates in there for your sweetheart, this would make a wonderful way to decorate that. Okie dokie. Now I have my label here, and what I did was I went ahead and I took the ribbon and I just threaded that through the two big loops on either side. Okay, and that's going to be my sentiment. And what I want to do is I have these little pieces that are cut out of the very vanilla, and I want to use these to decorate my label and also around the card. So to do that, and this is going to be very fussy work, so having a tweezer will really help you put these little pieces all together. So all I'm going to do, so this is going to go here. So I only need to attach it along the top. My glue's kind of sticky. Let me clean the tip of that off in a minute. Oops. Just want to move this so that the words peek out from behind there. That looks pretty good. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Okay. So that's my sentiment. It looks very pretty. And I may add a couple more pieces, but for now I'm just going to put this aside to dry a little bit. Oops, I just poked my glasses with my finger with glue on it, and now I've got glue on my glasses. That's not going to help the that's not going to help our project here with not being able to see. There we go, that's better. Okay, no, it's still on there. Oh well. I'm going to have to use my Gooby gun to get the glue off my glasses. All right, so now I have a couple of other pieces. I have this piece that I want to put along the top. So I'm just going to very gently dot some glue on here. Okay, and then I'm going to use my tissue to just remove the excess glue and just place this in the middle, like so. And my sentiment's going to go down here, and my bird is going to go here. So it's going to come together something like that. I'm going to glue my bird down. Okay, so very carefully that right where I want it. Then I'm going to take my dimensionals and I think what I better do, you know what? I'm going to put a little piece of double stick tape there just to hold that ribbon down. So this is going to be a little bit tricky. I should have done this before I put the ribbon in, but we'll make it work. Just going to tuck that under. Okay, give that a good burnish. Pull off that backing. Okay, now I'm going to stick that ribbon down. Make sure I've got it nice and even. Okay, now that's going to stay. If you don't have the tearing tape, double stick tape, you want to get some. It's the best for making your ribbons stay in place on your paper. And now I'm going to add several dimensionals. I'm going to put plenty on here, right in the middle. Make sure I've got this right side up. There we go. Okay, so there's my Valentine, inspired by that beautiful Victorian Valentine. Now I do have some extra pieces, but I'm not sure that I actually need them. Let's see. Might be fun to extend this a little bit. Let's see what that looks like. Well, I think I kind of like seeing the cutout, so I'm going to save these for the next card. And I'm going to call this one done. So I hope you like that. I hope that that inspires you to play with these dies to create these lacy backgrounds. Be very pretty with a tone-on-tone card. But I'm going to do another one similar to this, but I'm going to do it in a very different way. And I also want to show you that when I was making these backgrounds, I ended up with a lot of little extra bits and pieces. So I think I may be using these to create a box. I'm not going to do this today, but these would be wonderful to create the decorative motifs on the four sides of the box and on the lid. And even these cutoffs from the border could be useful. So I'm gonna store these away and use those on a different project. Get these pieces put away. Okay, now this time what I thought I would do would be to use some of the stencils, and these are the masks that come from the Butterflies and Flowers Layering Decorative Masks, and I've selected 2 of them. So I've got this one that's kind of lacy looking, and this one that has these floral motifs. And if you feel your masks, you'll feel that one side is a little bit rough and one side is smooth. You want to use them smooth side up when you're using your either your sponge or your blending brush or whatever it is that you're going to be using. I'm going to try the blending brush for this one. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to cut out my card base. So I'm just going to score this at 4 1/4 and cut at 5 1/2. This is the thick, very vanilla again. And then I'm going to get another piece and I think for this I'll just use the standard very vanilla. And I'm going to cut this a little bit smaller. So this is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. Something on that one. Let's get this one out. There we go. All right, so that's going to be my card base. Now let me just get a piece of scrap paper. And I've got my Coastal Cabana ink here. And what I want to do is I want to take these little rose motifs and put them, actually, you know, let me see. I think I want to use this little flower instead. I'm going to use this little flower instead because it's a little bit smaller. Get this so you can see what I'm doing. And again, using my Antique Valentine as my inspiration, what I want to do is I want to get these larger flowers sort of going around the edges and then fill in with the lacier part. So, and this does not have to be a very perfect reproduction. I just want to get a feeling of the lace. Now I'm looking for a post-it note. I think it's going to be helpful if I just cover these other things up like so. There we go. All right, so let's try one, see how that looks. And that's what that's perfect. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to go around. I'm going to put 3 on the sides. Now I'm just using the color combinations that are in this Antique Valentine, but you could certainly use any color combinations you like. But I think that this Coastal Cabana is going to be perfect for the look I'm going for here. And I'm just going to put 2 on top and on bottom. Remember, a lot of these are not going to show, but this is just a little bit of a background. Okay, so there's my border. That's looking good. And now what I want to do is I want to take this beautiful lacy one, and I'm just going to figure out which is the right way. I think this goes this way. I'm just going to go around the central area. So I'm going to get that lined up. Okay. Maybe a little bit more over here. There we go. And then I'm going to put a little design in the corners. Okay, I think I can squeeze a little bit in between the flowers. I'll just put a little something to give that effect. All right, so there's my lacy, oh, I missed one. This is my lacy background. Now remember I mentioned the Blackberry Bliss bird. So I have one of those ready to go. So here in my leftover bits from my design journal, some of you may remember that, what I did was I stamped out these little birds and then again put the shimmery crystal effects over top to give it that kind of enameled look. So that's going to be my little bird up on top. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Let me grab a sip of coffee. And I thought for this one, I would make a little gilded medallion. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab a scrap piece of Very Vanilla. And I have my Very Versailles stamp set. And as you know, if you've been following me, this is one of my favorites. I love this stamp set. And I'm going to use this medallion. So for this, I'm going to do heat embossing. I'm just getting my Versamark ink out. Take that center out of there. There we go. And I'll do this a couple of times so I have some extras in case I need them. I like to have pieces ready to go so I can just open up my little envelope and get what I need for the project to hand. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, I'm going to mute. Oops, I'm going to mute the heat tool so you don't have to listen to that. Okay, so there are my beautiful gold medallions, and if this doesn't say Versailles, I don't know what does. So I think Louis would be very pleased with these little medallions. Okay, so here's my little card, and I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fussy cut one of these medallions out. Save these for another project. Okay. I'm just going to go around the edges and knock down that just cut look. Okay. That would be kind of cute. And also with the very Versailles, this wonderful sentiment, always thinking of you, which would be a wonderful Valentine sentiment. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use that on this scrap. Let's just square this up a little bit, make it a little more narrow. And let's see, how long do we need that? It's about 3.5. this lined up? There we go. And again, I'm going to heat emboss this. Okay, I'm going to mute again. Okay, that's our heat embossing done. And I've got just a little bit of a sparkly gold edge that I think you can see. So that just finishes that off beautifully. All right, so let's get back to our card here. See how this is going to come together. I'm going to give this a little bit of a curl. There we go. And our bird in the medallion. That's kind of sweet, but I think it needs a little extra something. So I'm going to go back to my cutouts here. This might be kind of fun. I'm looking for the ones that have the little dots on them. Oh, hold on just a second. I'm going to mute you if there's someone at my door. Sorry, everybody. I had to sign for a package. It looks like a birthday surprise. Okay, so I'm just going to start by putting this little delicate border on the edges. And I will trim this to fit. So let's just begin here. Same on the other side. Okay, and I'll go ahead, once this is dry, I'll go around and I'll neaten up those corners a little bit. Make sure that's all stuck on. Pretty good. Okay. Now I want this sentiment to have a little bit of wave in the middle, so I'm adding my dimensionals there, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the two, oops, sorry, I'm off camera. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the two areas that are going to be stuck down flat. And that's going to give it just a little bit of a lift. I'll glue down my medallion. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I had put some crumb cake around the edge, but I think what I want to do is add a little of the coastal cabana because it's going to make it look more like it's a part of the background. Just go around the edges gently. And the coastal cabana and the gold look wonderful together. There we go. Oh, thank you, Catherine, for your happy birthday message. And I see Mary's here. Hey, Mary. So glad you could join me today. My friend Mary is an avid crafter and extremely creative. And I'm always interested to know what you're up to, Mary. So she's been working on going through her stash, using up all of her bits and pieces. So this is a great way to do it too, Mary. Okay, so now this one goes this way. What I like about this is that it has that kind of scrappy look to it, where you can see all these pieces sort of brought together to create one design, and that's what the original Valentines look like. You know, that's exactly what they did. The Victorians were the original scrapbookers. So if you'd like to investigate some of the scrapbooking history, just Google Victorian paper crafts or Victorian Valentines, and you're gonna find a wealth of inspiration for your projects. Okay, so that's how that's looking so far. I've got my little bird. And I just want to decide whether I want to, I think I'm going to put that on a dimensional this time. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my mini dimensionals. Make sure that those little wingtips stay down. And the tail. Because I don't want those lifting up and having the shimmery crystal effects crack. So I'll make sure it really stays in place nicely. I'll have him kind of lilting up like so. Okay. And I'm going to add just a little bit of these tiny flowers. It's always fun to layer up the same color as your base on top of your work. It just helps to create that kind of trompe l'oeil effect. So I'll put that there. And grab this one. I want to remind everybody to send a card. You know, I've been enjoying getting these birthday cards in the mail so much this week, and but it doesn't have to be somebody's birthday to send a card. Just surprise somebody. We've got Valentine's coming up. This is a great time to have some fun and surprise somebody with a lovely handmade card in the mail. Got one more piece here. I'm just wondering if I can squeeze this in. Yeah, I'll put it down there. Let's hold that for a second. All right, so there's my scrappy Valentine motif. So that looks like that. And go ahead and glue that down. Get rid of all these little things. And then I will show you some cards. And if anybody out there is watching and you're not making a comment, please do. I want to see who's here. Say hi. Tell me where you're from. I always love to see that. So just in the comments below, just take a second to let me know where you're watching from. There it is. It's So that's very cute. I like that. So there is my my Valentine ideas for you today. All right. And so this one, using the Antique Valentine as a inspiration, and this one just using scraps left over. So that's pretty cute. So I hope that you use up those scraps, and if you don't use them, put them in a little envelope and have them ready to go for the next time. And I will, of course, be decorating the envelopes for these as well. But I don't want this video to go on all day, so I'm going to stop with those. And I'm going to get out my cards that I want to show you. Okay, so I have, where's that one? This one. So this is the one that I showed you earlier in a previous video, and I love this so much. This is the one from Beverly, and she used the inside as a surface to add lots and lots of decoration onto, and I just love that idea. So I am definitely going to be using that idea in a card very soon. Then I have another card that somebody sent me. Now this was actually not a birthday card, but it came recently, and I thought it was so pretty. I wanted to show that to you. So here we have the all the gold foiling, and kind of a monochromatic card with this DSP that works beautiful with it, and the sentiment also done with die cut. So this is a pretty easy card to make, but because of the intricacy and the beautiful fineness of these die cuts, it really adds a wonderful wow factor to that card. Here's another beautiful card that I got not too long ago, and this one, you can see, has this fabulous message on the inside that pops up. So this is just a kind of a fancy fold using the DSP and then folding that in a kind of a W fold and adding a die cut to the inside. So that's another great way of embellishing the inside of your card. Now here I'm going to switch gears for a minute because we had a little mini card swap, and I want to show you some of the cards that were in the card swap. So these were cards there that were designed using stamp sets and dies from the new mini catalog. So here's the Ranunculus Romance set. Here's I don't know the name of this one offhand, but this is that one with the big tropical leaves, and I think that this is Calypso Coral, and this card actually features that beautiful printed vellum paper, and I haven't used that yet, but there it is. Let me take it out of the envelope so you can see it better. So I think, so this is a specialty paper item in the new mini catalog, and it has some writing and other designs on the vellum, and I think, yeah, you could use it either side, but that's very pretty, and it's a great way to sort of subdue the color a little bit, so you still have that color coordination, but you've got another gradation of the color itself. So that's a very fun thing to do. So thank you, Abby, for that. That's a beautiful card. And then the other assignment was to use a set from the Celebration catalog or brochure. And so these are both examples of cards made with the friendly hello. And very, very simple, but very effective. Beautiful. This one actually has some heat embossing on it. And these are the die cuts made using the Stitch So Sweetly framelits. Very pretty. With a little bit of, I think this is Pool Party ribbon, which looks really nice right there. Okay, so now to the next cards. So I have a card from my upline. This is from Julia. This is a beautiful card. And she designed this card using the hand pen suite. And she also has the that Hive 3D embossing folder that she's curled up the edges with to add some extra texture. And then she's using the Blessings from Home DSP to create this kind of envelope. And here is that little honeybee from the Honeybee Home suite that she's stamped and die cut. Okay, and then you have this little tab that you pull, and out comes this tag. And she's added more of those die cuts. She's got the wonderful little bee trinket and a couple of sparkly gems there, the doily. Isn't that beautiful? So this is the Honeybee Home bundle and the Blessings from Home bundle with a couple of other things. But that's all of these, most of these products are in that suite. So you can check that out. Thank you so much, Julia. That is a gorgeous card. Love it. And then finally, Candy, your card came today, so I did get it. I just want to remind everybody that if you use rhinestones and they go and you don't have the card hand stamped, that when they go through the mail, you can get this kind of a poking through of the envelope. So you might want to put like an extra piece of paper in there or cardstock just to give it a little bit extra padding to avoid having that happen. But I don't think it's harmed the card any, so it's not that big a deal. Oh my goodness, I just noticed the stamp on here. The stamp says happy birthday. Oh, beautiful. Have a perfect birthday. Well, I think I did, Candy. Thank you so much. This is beautiful. And she's stamped the inside with tone on tone. Looks very pretty. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Well, thank you for joining me today, everybody. I hope that you're going to get busy and start making some Valentines over the weekend. I'd love to see what you do. I can't figure out how to make it so that your images show in the comments. I know a number of you have tried to do that. I've looked through all of the settings and it's not letting me fix that. If you know a fix of how to let the posts have images in them, I'd love to know because I really want to see what you're doing. So have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you again on Monday for Marvelous Monday. Stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will see you next time.